Up to you there. I can see some breaking inputs coming in that President Ram has in fact resigned as far as the Nepalese president is concerned, and what we are also being told is that the army is going to make an address. I quickly want to take that forward with you, Akhilesh. What do you make of the army's address now? What should we expect as far as that address that's all set to take place in some time from now? The army chief of Nepal will be making that address.
I don't know what will. Are you asking me a question there?
Yes.
I don't know what he will, but he will definitely appeal for calm. But also, I mean, one to have some kind of like political, to be seen as also not how interventionist force, more an assisting force. That's the history of Nepal Army, unlike some of the armies in the region.
All right, stay with me as I bring those breaking inputs for our viewers. In fact, in the latest inputs, we can tell you that the president of Nepal, Chandra Poudel, has also resigned. He's in fact one of the last one in that string of high-profile resignations that Nepal has witnessed today. It began with 4 ministers, one of them being the Home Minister, and then soon was followed by Nepal's Prime Minister Sharma. And in the latest that we can bring to you is that President Chandra Poudel has resigned. And in other breaking inputs also, what we are learning is that the army chief in Nepal will also be making an address. Remember, the situation remains extremely volatile on the ground level. We've just shown you how the wife of a former prime minister of Nepal has been burnt as well. She suffered severe burn injuries and she was in fact lying collapsed. But in the latest, amid this kind of mounting pressure on the political elite of Sharma Oli's government, in fact, in the latest, what we can tell you is that President Chandra Poudel has also resigned. I quickly go back to Akhilesh, who continues to stay with us. So, Akhilesh, take us through what do you make of the political scenario at the moment? Is this an indication that early elections are now the need of the hour?
Yeah, I mean, like, I've actually said it in public already. In order for us not to derail from the constitutional process and stick to constitutionalism, perhaps the best way out is early elections.
All right, we'll try and fix your frame in the meantime, but I want to just keep taking our viewers to all the latest inputs coming in. In the latest, what we can tell you is President Chandra Poudel has resigned over there, and Akhilesh is back with us. Akhilesh, yes, please, go ahead.
Yeah. What I have been saying, including in my social media post, is the best way out, in order for Nepal to not derail the constitutional process or constitutionalism, the best way out perhaps is declare an early election, and the country then goes through political transition, but also cathartic process of then cleansing itself. And new leaders will emerge, as they all do in these crisis situations. And new parties will coalesce and say, okay, we shake hands, those guys will not do, And these are also opportunities, if handled well, the time for when the changes take a pace fast. Instead of like years, this just happen in 2 days, 6 days, 6 months. And I would like to say, as I already said in my post, maybe give it a 6-month time, Army or the law and order comes to place, new forces coalesce together or emerge. New leaders will have a more political buy-in with the public. Yeah, and then it will be a smoother transition towards election than declaring it overnight and then the national apparatus, the state apparatus being completely unprepared.
All right, stay with me, Akhilesh. I'm also joined in by our correspondent, Siddhant, who's been tracking all the latest developments for us from Nepal. In fact, Siddhant, if you could shed more light on the resignations that have just come in, not to forget the severe burn marks that have been suffered by the wife of the former Prime Minister of Nepal.
Well, as we were discussing before, it's a complete breakdown of law and order in Kathmandu. In fact, all the senior leadership of Kathmandu, their houses have been attacked. They have been attacked. In fact, Deoba family was rescued. Both Arzu Deoba and her relatives were rescued by the locals as a mob attacked their house The same was the case with KP Oli's personal residence. It was attacked. President's personal residence was attacked. So it's a complete breakdown of law and order in Nepal at this point in time. What we're getting to know is that army is going to take over the administration. That's what Manoj Gupta is bringing for us. But how that's going to happen, we really don't know. But we could expect in some time from now, there could be a briefing by the Nepalese Army, perhaps announcing the takeover.
All right. In terms of the kind of attacks that have taken place, what are you learning from your sources, Siddhant? Who is responsible for these attacks? Many protesters have in fact gone on record to deny that it is not the Gen Z protesters who have resorted to this kind of arson and violence, but we do see many are in fact the youth which are taking to this kind of violence on the streets of Kathmandu. We seem to have lost that connection with Siddhant, but let's quickly go back to Akhilesh, who continues to stay with us. So, Akhilesh, from what the feelers we are getting at the moment is that the army is going to step in on expected lines.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's time.
But you say it is time. What does one now expect next? In how many months or days can one expect general elections to take place?
I haven't followed elections, the process of elections so closely now. I would like to think, as with a country as large, comparatively large, it's not Bhutan by any stretch. It's going to take time, to get the roles in order, election roles in order, but also many other things like election officials. There could be a lot of changes in the election process itself, I don't know. I mean, this is up in the air for now, but I would like to say 6 months would be a good time when there will be a political buy-in to buy-in of new actors in the process, and but also the bureaucracy begins to get its acts together. I would like to say, it's a very, very top of the mind cutoff point. I would say 6 months.
All right. In fact, going to slip into a quick break. Stay with me, Akhilesh. We have plenty to discuss right now as Nepal stands at a turning point as far as the politics in the nation is concerned. With that, we're slipping into a quick break. Stay tuned to Nation at 5 as we return with the latest news and updates.